this was really fascinating that I heard someone say. This guy was, I think I just so randomly saw it on TikTok or something like that.
Hmm.
And this guy was saying that nature gave us a big hint with our dreams.
Hmm.
Because when you are dreaming, you basically, within the dream, it's you, like this,
Hmm.
experiencing an external reality. The people you meet in your dream and the environment, it seems external to you. But what you are perceiving is all just mind within the
Yes.
dream. So there might be a bit of like a model of what's going on even when you're awake.
Right. Right. Like, man, wah, right? Like, wow.
Yeah.
But it kind of makes a lot of sense, though, right? Because your dream state, you're able to create this whole reality within your dream that you physically feel like you are experiencing. But here we are, too, in this awake state, right? And like, how do I know this table is this table? How do I know that I'm talking to you and it's not a dream?
Yeah. And that's the thing, like when I had some lucid dreams, which is those dreams where you are within the dream, you are asleep, you are dreaming, but you
Mm-hmm.
realize that, hold on, this is a dream. I'm
Mm-hmm.
asleep and I'm just dreaming. Right? So I had some of these. And like I said this before on a podcast before, but that was, I think that was one of my first more profound experiences when that really got me questioning. Well, I
Mm-hmm.
was questioning things even before, but this was like a direct experience and got me really thinking about stuff. Because when you wake up from a dream in the morning, is the dream is like a fading memory. It's all blurry and you can barely remember anything. Many people don't remember their dreams at all, which is a shame. But when I had these lucid dreams, usually when I was like napping in the afternoon or very early in the morning when the sleep is very light, I realized that when I was in this dream, darkly in it, I realized that what's going on. I looked around because I remember within the dream, like, don't get too excited because then you're gonna wake up.
You're gonna
And
wake
so
up,
I
yeah.
was like, okay, calm down. I looked around. I remember looking at one point in one of those dreams. I was in it's kind of forest or something. It was kind of dark, but I looked at the ground and I could see all the leaves, all the dirt and rocks and stuff. In some other dream, I looked at someone's face and it was just as real as what I'm experiencing right now. So and now we know that when you are dreaming, the same parts of your brain that they construct the dream are the same parts of the brain that construct your waking reality.
Yes. Yes. It's dreams are weird, man. Dreams are weird. Let me
Yeah.
just, I don't know, like I've just been having a lot of weird dreams lately and I'm like, God, I don't even want to remember some of these. It's getting weird.
Yeah. Was there something you want to share?
Well,
Or
I guess as far as like lucid dreams go, right? After my mom passed last June, so every time I'd have a dream about her, right? Even if it was like a dream visitation, my brain would go, "Well, she's not here, so you're not seeing her," and then I'd wake up. So what I've been working on is saying like it's a dream, like even though mom's here, just try to enjoy her. So last night I saw her and then I was like, "No, we're going to like try to let this go. Like mom's gone, but she's here in your dream." So in the dream we were able to go on a road trip and kind of hang out. And but then what happened is my auntie who had passed away too shows up and I was like, "Dang, she's dead." And then all of a sudden I was like, boom, awake.
hmm,
Because I saw that other auntie that I was like, oh no, she's not supposed to be here. So there's some sort of like part of my brain that goes, no, that person's not alive anymore. So if you see them, it's a dream.
right.
But
Technically, you
yeah,
could have used it to induce a lucid dream.
Yeah, yeah. So I've been working on not waking. I've been doing better at not waking up immediately when I
Hmm.
see like my mom or something, so that I'm able to kind of go into the dream a little further. But yeah, most of the time, the thing that will snap me out of it, that makes me realize it's a dream, and I've been able to stay a little longer recently, is just seeing somebody who's passed, or seeing a pet that's passed and knowing that that pet isn't supposed to be there. So that's my like little trigger to show that it's a dream, so my brain can say, "Okay, you can be lucid now if you don't wake up. Just try not to wake up and freak out, you know."
Yeah. Actually, it came to my mind. So I did this podcast with Nicole that I
Mhm.
mentioned earlier, and this is not going to be in the podcast. So I hope you guys listen to this one and then the next one afterwards as well. So she did this reading for me over there, and it was very accurate. I mean, you guys can watch the episode. And after that, we had a conversation. There was also like a interesting coincidence there, let's just say. And because she mentioned some, she you're talking about Akashic records,
Mhm.
and she said that she looked into mine. So she
Mhm.
told me that like supposedly in past lives I was engaged, I was in wars a lot,
Mm.
struggling, and uh, when she said that, my main times my voice was not heard, which is kind of like a big theme of my life to some extent. But when they did listen to me, it saved a lot of lives. So she mentioned wars in it, and next morning I had a dream. There was a I was actually two dreams, and there was other things. Most of it was pretty pleasant, apart from like being late for my flight to San Diego.
Hate those kind of dreams.
It wasn't that bad, but still. But at one point,
Uh,
just randomly, I was in this old building. It was very shabby. It was like from a war movie. Like I don't think it was earlier than the late '80s or early '90s. And
mhm.
now there were some enemy soldiers. So I was trying to get out of it. I ended up shooting some people. And I was like, I don't usually have dreams about wars.
Mhm.
But after the podcast, I mentioned to her that actually some of my biggest fears, things that just freak me out, like wars, nuclear war,
Mhm.
amputations, so all
Mhm.
war related, and gray aliens. So
Ah,
it just scares me, that stuff, more than any like creature design or anything. It's kind
yeah,
of
yeah.
weird. So I told her, about those fears, conversation. And then next day, I told her about the dream, right? Turns out she had also a dream with me that night
Oh,
or
wow.
morning. Yeah, and she said that was in Oswald in the 50s or so. That was
Mhm.
something to do with aliens and some military experimenting on me or something like that. And I was like,
Mm.
hang on, like I'm going to the States, and I, I think I even told you that I
Yeah.
want, travel and do stuff. And I would love to go to Oswald. I told it to my
Yeah.
friends as well, because I've been reading about that place since I was a kid, so it would be like so awesome to go there and see it. And she
Yeah.
dreamt about it.
That's interesting. So it seems like you have some sort of tie to that area. At least your energy, or if you had a past life there, that you have a tie there, and that possibly, right, when you hear about past life things, and that's why your interest is so great within that subject, right?
I don't know. I'm probably never gonna know 100% for sure. But
Never.
you know, my name is I've got an American name, right? I learned English. Like we started learning a second language at school
Yeah.
in the third grade or so. So like age 9, 10. But that by the time I was already fluent in both English and German. I learned English from Cartoon Networks, literally.
That's great.
Yeah, like that was so helpful. By the way, like I went through both. elementary school and um, high school, grammar school. I don't know how you would call it exactly. So up until the age of 19, when I finished school, like I went through it all without having to learn the other two languages. I just
That's
knew it,
awesome.
and you know. And actually, when I started this podcast, I started getting guests, a lot of guests from the states.
Yeah,
And
I kind of looked through your thing and I was like, oh, you do
yeah,
have a lot of guests from here. Like it's mostly here.
yeah, yeah, that's true. And I remember even back then, like this was late 2021 when I started this. I
Hmm.
remember telling my friends, like, I feel like at some point I'm going to end up in the States, if not to live there, at least to visit.
Hmm.
So now I visit
And
there, and now I'm going there again.
yeah, are you moving here? Or are you just visiting?
Oh, I know, we'll see what happens. Because this time it's quite different. This is what I'm going to talk in the video that's going to come out soon.
Hmm.
Like, I moved out Slovakia when I was 24 or so in 2015 to the UK. Stayed there for 5.5 years. Then the pandemic and all that hit. I was like, I'm not taking this shit.
Yeah.
So I went to Sweden where it was pretty much everything open. And I came
Oh
here
wow.
literally in early 2021. It was just normal life over here. Whereas in the UK, they
Wow.
were all shutting businesses down. And you went to a shop and everything just like reminded you of this craziness that was going on in those years. But over here, it's like just do whatever you want. I mean, all
Yeah.
the recommendations that were here, well, no, the restrictions were only recommendations from the government.
Didn't make it. Oh man. It was
Yeah,
horrible here when it happened,
yeah, no,
man.
especially in California.
Oh my god, it was horrible. Don't remind me. I have like PTSD from it.
Yeah, some people need to end up in jail because of this stuff that happened.
It was so bad. I mean, oh
Yeah,
god, I don't even want to remember. It's like a bad dream to just like move past all that crap we had to go through.
I know it was the same when I was in the UK. And like, honestly, I didn't want to go out or go to a shop because of this stuff because it was like in your face all the freaking time.
Oh my
Even like when I was driving with my landlord and my ex at that time, we were in the car and it was like they had the radio on, and there was like this such somber voice saying like about something about the virus, like you can spread it even if you don't have symptoms. And
what the hell? I don't even I mean, the hell was all that? Like what the oh, they can have it and they don't even have symptoms and don't get near anybody. Oh my god, horrible.
yeah,
Most horrible thing.
but yeah, I moved to Sweden. It was like
Sounds
early
nice
early
that they didn't have it.
2021.
Yeah.
Yeah, and since then I was just living a normal life. At one point they kind of put some restrictions there. At work they were like, you need to wear a mask, and I was the only one not wearing one. I was just fine, you know. And I'm fine and still alive and everything. So, but yeah, even like when it goes to the outcomes over here, everyone was saying like, oh, it's not gonna work, their strategy and everything. And turns out the deaths and everything, it was like slightly below average for Europe. So even the studies that came out afterwards, like the strictness of the lockdowns had no correlation to the outcomes. It was just totally random. So it was useless and it just came, cause more harm.
So irritating to think about like that whole time period and
Yeah,
people there's they still make people like wear masks, like service workers still have to wear masks here and it's ridiculous. It's like
yeah. They've been
let us
proven
be
not to
normal.
work.
Yeah, let us be normal.
Yeah,
And I don't want to say it's just like some sort of like control mechanism, to, do this to people and it's crappy. Ugh. Don't get me started.
yeah,
But I'm glad you were able to escape the lockdowns of the UK for Sweden for a little
yeah,
bit, but now you're going to escape Sweden for a a little bit,
yeah.
possibly longer. It's okay here now. We're
I
not
know I've been
COVIDing
there
people
already,
anymore.
so yeah. So yeah, basically I was saying like I moved to the UK now to
Hmm.
Sweden, but only just recent, like this year. It started like even last year when I found this YouTuber Sora Lamore. I was looking at her stuff and it's like this kind of life I want to have for myself, not just settle down in one place and have a stable job. I just had that, and it's not for me, you know. So now I just reduced the amount of stuff that I own, so I can literally just grab a backpack with my
Ah.
bag for a laptop, even
Mm-hmm.
including this equipment I'm using. I can just put it in these two bags, and I can go anywhere I want and do whatever I need to do over there. You know, apart from guitars, that's the
Yeah,
issue.
that's a
But
little bit more to carry.
yeah, but once I got better income coming in, it's usually sorted.
Yeah.
So this time I'm doing things quite differently, but because whenever I've moved, it's like I sorted out a place or someone sorted out for me or something like that. I got a job or stuff like that. But now it's totally different, more free, and because that's one of my aims in life, to be more free and also help
Yes.
others to be free.
Yeah. I like it. I like
Yeah,
it. I like it a lot. It sounds like you're on the precipice of this new journey.
yeah. I mean, this entire year was about it, and it's just getting crazy and crazier. But exciting, very exciting.
Yeah, exciting new changes, and maybe you'll be more nomadic and just kind of go where
Yeah,
you want to go. And that sounds fun. It sounds like a
yeah.
lot of fun.
And somehow, through me moving these countries, I set up myself. I was just saying to my friend recently, because I watched a video. It was like for a subscription and for a newsletter, and this guy was giving like a few points about how to be free,
Hmm.
financially independent, and also like in terms of living in different countries. So you,
Hmm.
you can't get locked down in one country if something happens or something like that. Because, for example, in Australia, they actually tried to lock down everyone inside the country, including other citizens from other countries. But I think it was Germany. They was like, hold on, you can't do this. Even people like that are our citizens or have dual citizenship, you need to let them go back to the other country. So they couldn't do that. And for me, like moving countries like this, I've got bank accounts in 3 or 4 countries now. you know, I'm citizen of Slovakia, a resident in Sweden, probably still in the UK, but so somehow I set up myself for this kind of life.
Wow. Wow. No, that's super interesting. Like, but they say that's true freedom, right? Being able to go where you want and do what you want,
Yeah,
and being
exactly.
financially free to be able to do it.
Yeah,
No, it's amazing. Yeah, teach people, show them.
yeah, that's what I'm trying to do with Terra Vitality, with this business that I started as well. So it's just everything is coming together this year, you know. So
It's amazing. No,
yeah.
it's great to hear. No, I'm very happy for you to hear
Thank
all
you,
this. Yeah. Congratulations.
thank you. I will keep you all posted about
Yeah.
what's going on.
Well, I'd like to hear about this. No, super interesting. Because as an American, we don't go many places. Most Americans, we don't leave the country. We just
Yeah,
kind of stay here. So it's
I think
very interesting to hear.
yeah, like don't take this in a bad way or anything, but I think you need to go out more to other
Hmm.
countries and also listen to people who come there. Because
Hmm.
I think to some extent I saw this in the UK as well, when they think like, oh, our country is so great, we have this and that, and then I go to Sweden and it's like, and it's actually even better over here, you know. But they don't know because they haven't been there. They don't have the
They no,
experience. And even
no. It's
now you get so many people in the States saying that it's such a horrible country and all the rest of it. And it's like, just go listen to people who come from other countries who had these kind of things that you want for America and how horrible it actually is. So
no. I mean, no offense taken. Americans are very American centric, and it's kind of like, oh, we're they because we're here. It's like, oh, this must be the best place. We're the center of the world, but not actually going out and traveling. We don't know.
yeah,
And actually, like living somewhere else, I think is a big deal versus like, going to Europe maybe for a week or two, right?
yes,
Versus actually like experiencing another country.
yeah. And then never thought that I would travel around this much. Like when it comes to vacations, Me going to San Diego in February, that was my only vacation I ever had abroad.
Mm.
Actually, so so I never thought they were like, move countries like this, but I can tell that living somewhere, like even me being there in San Diego for a month, that was almost like living there and figuring things out a bit to go to
Hmm.
the store and talking to people and everything. It's a very valuable experience, I say.
Man, I better go travel, I guess.
Go for it.
I should. Yeah, it's just I think it's important. And as I say it, as I don't do it myself, I'm like, it's super important to go travel and check out other places. It's
Nice.
good. I hope to keep up and hear about your adventures and your traveling around.
Yeah, that's for sure. So let's go. I'll be back.
Hmm.
Let's tie things together a bit.
Yes,
We were
sir.
talking about all these random things seem a bit out there for many people. Now, one thing I wanted to say earlier, so we were talking about Egyptian stuff and your
Hmm.
dream and everything. The interesting part, about psychedelics, is that especially have you had like high dose experiences with any psychedelic? Yeah, so you probably know. Well, the things that you see on psychedelics, it's like the most amazing art you will ever see, and it's weird how it reminds you of whether it's Egyptian art, Mayan, Indian, um, Muslim art as well.
Hmm.
In how it's so intricate and colorful and geometrical as well.
Yes.
So that's
Yes.
super interesting.
It's
So
yeah,
yeah,
go ahead. Sorry.
yeah. So I just want to ask you, like, when you were microdosing, what was your
Yeah.
experience? What the benefits or maybe even downsides you
Oh
experienced?
yeah. Oh, I could tell you. See, so as a younger in my youth, right, I did a lot more psychedelics as a recreationally, right?
Mhm.
And as an adult, I hadn't touched psychedelics in years, but I'd start to read about people taking psychedelics and microdosing in order to combat things like anxiety. And I had very bad anxiety. I was on medication from the doctor, right? So that's kind of why I started to dive back into it. But I didn't realize too that once it kind of got was able to work with this anxiety and work through it, that I would also have a lot of these spiritual experiences and like kind of consciousness experiences that went along with it, right? So I say when I started taking it, I thought I was just fixing anxiety, but it kind of changed my path, my direction, right? And I would say, like, if you work with plant medicine, right, that you have to respect plant medicine, right? Because I've talked to people who are like,
Mhm.
well, man, I just took like I don't know, like 6 grams of mushrooms, and I just like lost touch with reality, man. And I said, well, what are you trying to do? If you go in with a purpose, like my purpose
Mhm.
was to fight anxiety. And then I started to work with a little bit higher doses in order to do kind of this deep meditative work, right? And if you don't respect it, it's gonna do, you're gonna notice it, you're gonna feel it, right? So for me, I think the positive thing was I'm off anxiety medicine. I haven't had a panic attack and anxiety attack in years now because I did this 2 years ago. Not 2 years ago, but for 2 years. And then when the last year with my mom's passing, I kind of like stepped back a little bit from working with psychedelics. So
Sorry to interrupt, but how bad was your anxiety before
it was
and the panic
debilitating,
attacks?
and I'd end up in the hospital with panic attacks. So
Hmm.
I was on Ativan from the doctor, and it was so constant and so often that I was taking this stuff regularly, and to the point where I was like, you know what, I cannot live like this, where I have to take a pill so I can go outside and be able to do things and go in public, and to the point where I was like, well, I'm just gonna quit.
Did the pills
And
have any
then,
side effects that you were getting
oh
from
yeah,
the doctor? What
oh
kind?
yeah, yeah. Um, I became physically addicted to them to where if I didn't have them, the panic attacks, the anxiety attacks would get worse. So at one point, I decided I did not want to take them anymore, and my body freaked out. and I ended up in the hospital with a panic attack. And they threatened to send me. They're like, "Well, we can send you to rehab." And I said, "Well, I don't." I said, "This is like a physical addiction. Like, I don't want it, but my body wants it, so it's freaking out." And so I talked to the doctor there, and they were able to give me some non addictive anti anxiety medicine. But again, I said, I don't want to take these pills to live. I don't want to be like this. So I struggled with that for about probably a year before I was able to find any mushrooms or psychedelic or microdosing, because it's still, I mean, it's more available now than it was 2 years ago. But even then, you have to know somebody. You can't just like, hey, where can I get some mushrooms?
Mhm.
You have to know somebody in order to get it. So I feel like once I put that out into the universe, I was able to connect with people who could give me, I could get mushrooms from, and in order to take them. So that led on this whole journey, and doing large doses. I would say for the negative. I mean, there's things you can do in order to have a positive experience. It depends on your mindset going into it. If your
Mhm.
mindset is not good, don't do it. It
Also,
depends on
setting, very,
setting.
very
Yeah,
big
setting,
difference.
the people you're with.
Mm.
It all matters. Everything matters. I remember the last time I did kind of a bigger dose was with my sister and one of my good friends, and I remember as it was getting ready to start, because it's like a for people who haven't done it, it's just kind of like this roller coaster that's like about to take off, and you're just like, oh, here it comes, right? So I was like, something like, I don't know if it was the energy of the place. We rented an Airbnb and did it, right? So we were all away from home, we were all together.
In a
And
place where
at,
it's legal.
in a place that's very legal, right? And I remember hearing this voice in my head that goes, it's going to start. You got to calm down and enjoy it. And as we're doing that, as this is going through my head, and I'm like, okay, you can do this. It's going to be okay. And then my friend's sitting there in the living room talking about people dying. And I was like, no, you got to stop like right now, because I'm about to. And so the whole time, all of a sudden, I'm like, you the whole thing up. You messed the whole thing up, because now all I'm worried about is people dying. Thanks. So it just takes like one little thing, right? That kind of messes up the whole thing. And then the whole time I'm like, somebody's going to die here tonight, like. So place setting, people kind of, keep it positive. I'd say when you're going to do these things, keep it quiet, keep it positive, and especially if you're taking first timers out.
Yeah. So now you don't need any medication or anything, like you said.
No medication at all. No, I don't even really microdose much anymore.
Mhm.
I figured there it might be a time where it comes back again, but right now, especially with all the life changes that have gone on over the past year, like I'm very much wanting to be grounded in reality right now, and kind of experience life in this way for now.
It's amazing what these things can do. And when you look
Yeah,
at the research, it's like Paul
it's
Stamets said, it's too good.
yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's been. I think the biggest thing and what I tell people is, I was able to get off anxiety medicine, which put me in the hospital several times. And to me, that is a magic of this thing. The spiritual things that happen were magical. That kind of showed me there's more to the world, versus like, is it this, is it that? But knowing that my experiences were real to me, to know that there's more to the world. So I think I like to share that it's two different. There's several different levels to these plant medicines.
Oh, there's God knows how many levels to it. I mean, just when I was doing the podcast with Nicole, I brought up Killing the E. Have you heard about him?
Who's it?
Killing the E.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, he was a African American martial artist. A very smart guy and fun to listen to as well. And he would, like I was saying on the podcast, 5 dried grams, his tennis mechanic would say would be the heroic dose for
Yeah.
your ego dissolves and all the rest of it. He would take upwards of 20 grams.
Shh. No, I wouldn't do
And
it. But damn.
yeah, it's very
Damn.
interesting listening to him. Like the stuff that he
Yeah.
saw, he would literally go to other dimensions, other realities, and obviously, not recommending any of this. And it's, it can be very tricky because I remember even people who are like, yeah, I'm ready to do this and I want this and everything else. They many times screw up anyway, and then they're like, "Oh, I'm not touching this stuff ever
Hmm.
again." It's
Yeah.
super
Hmm.
powerful.
Oh, yeah. Respect the plant is what I say because people do tell me when I talk. I said microdosing is like taking a gentle boat ride into the psychedelics versus like taking the roller coaster and taking a large amount. It's two different things.
I guess I went for a roller coaster straight away. I remember picking up a bunch of them. I had just like one mushroom to try if it works. Yeah.
Yeah.
And like this microdosing, when you take a really small dose, it helped me a lot as well. Like, it's got a plane going.
I got
Yeah.
that.
It's an airport nearby. And so, yeah, like I had this problem where I was kind of quiet and closed off in some ways.
Hmm.
And I remember even when I was with my previous girlfriend, when we had a very difficult conversation, I was kind of emotional or just in some way difficult. We never really argued or anything like that, so that was good. But I wasn't able to speak.
Mm.
Right, there's something going on, and I was like, well, I would feel like if I would push myself a little bit over the edge, I would be able to. But it was just making the small step. It was a lot. It was just like this block, right? And when you take when you microdose, it it makes you more confident, but not in an egocentric way, which is quite
Hmm.
interesting. I think that was Terence McKenna or whoever it was. I was saying it makes you a better leader, a compassionate one,
Hmm.
not a dictator or something, or you know, you're full of yourself, you know. And recently, earlier this year, I noticed when there was something similar, if not even more emotionally intense, I was able to talk properly. No issue there.
So it like
So it was both the psychedelics that helped
mhm.
over time and the experience that I had, and also the work that I was doing, and so it both feeds into each other. But yeah, it's super helpful if you do it the right way.
You have to, and I would stress that as well. You have to do it the right way. Like you have to measure that out. You have to know what you're doing. I got nerdy with it. I wrote down my doses. I wrote down when I took it. I wrote down how long it would take to kick in, how long it lasted, anything that like occurred during that time period. I also find it helps open those creative kind of
Oh yeah,
thing as well, which is quite amazing when it happens. You're just like, wow, I don't have that block. I can figure it out now.
yeah. Sure, like my book Ascension, a psychedelic science fiction novel.
I know I have to get it still. I haven't got it. I'm let's see. Oh, is it on my? I'll get that. I'll get it because I'm interested. I've never read a psychedelic sci-fi novel.
Yeah. Well, there's some inspiration that went to this book right there.
Yeah.
Some of the things that are in there was actually my experiences, including
Oh,
some
nice.
dreams.
Oh,
At one point,
nice.
I think there's
Nice.
like a lucid dream that I had there described in there. You know, so even scientists used psychedelics many times. They came up with some really interesting stuff. Speaking of COVID, I'm not sure if you heard this. The guy who came up with the PCR test,
Mm.
Kerry Mullis, he got Nobel Prize for it. By the way, he also said that it's not designed to detect live viruses in people. So that's quite interesting. But also, he said that the reason why he was able to come up with the ideas came because of LSD.
Huh. Huh. So that's
No,
how he got the
yeah,
idea.
yeah. No, there were many other people like that. Well, actually, even like when you look at René Descartes, the idea of science comes from an angel.
Mm.
You know, so it was also channeled, and even like Niels Bohr, when he came up with the idea of the model of the atom, he had a dream where he was sat on a planet or on the sun, and all the planets were revolving on, and that's where he got the idea of the model of the atom.
It's all.
And then back to K. Mullis, it's quite interesting because at one point he he was driving somewhere, and I think he was driving, yeah, and he encountered on the road a raccoon that ended up talking to him.
Oh, I like it.
But because turns out he might have been also a experiencer or abductee.
Mm.
Because later on, I'm not sure who was telling this story. Might have been in the book, The Holographic Universe. Perhaps great book, by the way.
Yeah, I was just going through my books. It's like, right, I have that book like somewhere around here. I was just
Cool.
going through my books earlier and I remember looking at it.
Yeah. So I heard this story that I think it was I can't remember exactly whether it was him. It might have been him reading Communion by Whitley
Hmm.
Strieber. You know, his first book, and the cover of the book is so iconic. The gray alien,
It's the
and
scariest cover of a book. It's just, I hate that cover. Oh,
hopefully it's fine.
hello.
Okay, so yeah, he was reading the book. Turns out his daughter noticed, and she was like, "I'm reading the same book," and they had both had experiences.
Well,
So it's
even when you
not,
talk.
yeah. So it's not like this stuff is happening just to random people on the street, but it's even scientists.
Yeah. It's interesting. As soon as you brought up the Whitley Strieber book, my feed went down. So I was like, oh,
Yeah, I also
interesting.
noticed there was like
Weird.
issue with the recording.
It's a little weird. It's a little weird, but that's what this whole thing is, right? It's everything is a little weird, even, and it doesn't make sense sometimes, right?
Yeah, and this is also one of the things that kind of unifies all of these phenomena is that it seems like all of this is inviting us to expand our minds and the way we see
Mm.
the world. And because like many of the people that claim to be abducted by aliens, many times when they get actually a conversation with them, turns out that the more you resist, the worse it gets, and you probably end up with memory loss, the missing time
Hmm.
thing. But if you get over the dread and everything, it can be actually a really good experience. It's kind of like with the psychedelic
Yeah,
experience. Once you stop resisting it, it becomes
like
a very very interesting and experience. It's not like, even though it's like the closest you can get to dying, it's
yeah.
still,
And not a bit, not a good way to sell it, but I mean, it is.
yeah. Well, at the end of the day, it's super powerful, so you gotta be careful there
Respect
and
it.
respectful. Yeah. So I was saying, people who get abducted and actually get to talk to them, or there's some kind of a conversation going on, they do get very similar messages as people on ayahuasca, for example. Like people go down to the rainforest to do ayahuasca, and
Hmm.
many times they get like with ayahuasca. I never tried it.
No, me
Hopefully,
neither.
someday. But for those who don't know, it's a brew where the psychedelic ingredient is DMT, but then there's another one that makes it oil active. So instead
Hmm.
of tripping for 10 minutes. If you smoke it, this can last for hours.
I don't know, man.
It's just like
That's a
mushrooms, kind of
lot.
like,
I know.
yeah,
I know, but I hear it's just so intense that I'm like I'm not sure if I'm ready to try ayahuasca.
yeah. I mean, everyone has their own different journey, and there's so
For
many
sure.
tools out there. So, but I was saying that people in the rainforest with ayahuasca, they say they get a very direct message. Like
Mhm.
Dorian Yates, the famous bodybuilder,
Mhm.
he was drinking a lot and some drugs and stuff, and he went there and ayahuasca told Mother Ayahuasca was like, stop poisoning yourself. And since then he stopped drinking and everything. I was just that one message. And many people get the same message like from these beings they encounter during the abductions, like take care of your planet. And many times the result is also the same, that people come back just like when they come from the rainforest, they have like a sense of connection with the universe, the earth,
Mhm.
other people. They are more conscious of what's going on, more spiritual. So it's all somehow connected.
Somehow, right? It's all. I think that's like the main theme of it all. Somehow, it's all connected. We're not quite sure, but there's something
Yeah,
energetic.
definitely. Like even in Graham Hancock, when he did ayahuasca, he mentioned that he saw at one point during one of the trips, he saw gray aliens.
Mhm.
What are they doing there? you know, because the notion was that it's just beings from another planet. But if you take a psychedelic, you obviously enters. Well, in some cases, it seems like you enter a different kind of realm,
Yeah.
and when you encounter these beings, they're like, "What's going on?"
Yeah. Yeah. It's quite interesting, and maybe when I'm ready, I'm gonna dive a little more into it again. But the beings really intrigue me.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, it's hard to tell 'cause it could be something that's because with the human psyche, certain parts of your psyche can become kind of sovereign and independent and acting
Hmm.
like it's a separate consciousness, even though it's still a part of your own psyche. And it's
Hmm.
things that can exist within the human unconscious. It's hard to tell where it's, or got all these archetypes. Even Carlene was talking about. It's hard to tell, but when like the encounter I was mentioning earlier from the DMT studies,
Hmm.
I, it kind of points towards those being actually being some kind of a separate intelligence.
Hmm. Yeah, it's we don't. I mean, I hope we find out, but we don't know. Do we? Do we really know? I don't know.
And that's the thing, like with the UFO phenomenon, it just kind of like invites us to expand and try to, because we are very, left side of the brain, very logical. I want proof that I can see, that I can scientifically prove. But
Hmm.
this is, all these phenomena are elusive enough to not be like directly straight away confirmed by science, just like the existence of this table or something. But there's still enough evidence to show us that there's probably something there. So it's like, it's pretty much John Mack was talking about this stuff as well.
Yes, and it because perhaps it's some sort of spiritual experience, right? That it belongs to you or belongs to me, but it does not allow itself to be recorded or studied in order to prove it to other people because it's so personal.
Yeah, that too.
But you don't know. It's all a huge mystery, but it all seems to tie together, and you're very well researched on a lot of this stuff. Well read on it.
Thank you. Like, like I said, I've just been fascinated by it since I was a kid and read books, listen to podcasts. When I was a kid, I also watched documentaries about it.
Hmm.
Like the 80s, 90s stuff that came out of the States. I love it. But turns out
Well,
a lot of it is true. So
no, it is. And the more people you talk to and the more experiences you have with it, you're just like, there has to be something to it, you know? There has to be.
yeah, that's for sure. And before I ask you one last thing, so we are
Sure.
already going quite so long. You were asking about this ring, right?
Yes.
So I waited for it like for over half a year. Not sure if you're gonna be able to see
Let me
properly.
see. I don't know. Let's see if the camera will get on it and if my eyes can focus on it.
Yes.
Okay, I can see it. Has like, yeah, okay, okay. 3 lines.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's called the Atlantis ring. It's not an
Oh.
exact copy of it, but the story is that in I think it was 1860 or so, they excavated a grave somewhere in Egypt, and there was this ring in it. It was made of Aswan clay, and it was a bit more rounded. It wasn't as flat as this one, but it had the same engraving on it. This looks so something. I don't know what it's called right now. Turns out this is the proportions of everything. It's basically sacred geometry, right?
Ah.
And there's not sure how legit this is or anything, but someone so like a radio, I don't know, something. Apparently, it has a very interesting effect on the person's energy. Like I've heard people, John and James, she also did a video about this. That's how I found out about this. She got
Yes.
one and started sleeping better. Her anxiety got a bit better, stuff like that. So I was like, oh, this is interesting. And the maker of this is actually also a Reiki healer. So she told
Oh,
me that she
nice.
like fused it with positive energy. So I like wearing it. And the weird thing about this ring, apart from next thing I'm gonna say, is that it doesn't look like typical Egyptian jewelry. Because the typical stuff is quite colorful and
Hmm.
fancy, but this is very basic, and plus you got the sacred geometry in there. It's like it kind of
Very
look, yeah,
simple, yeah.
it kind of looks like an obelisk if you think about it.
Oh, yeah,
Put it
like
like
a
that.
wrapped like
Yeah,
a
but it's like
obelisk.
on both sides, the
Yeah,
pointy parts. So there's a chance that the original ring or the design of it comes from whoever was there before the Egyptians,
that
possibly.
makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So yeah,
Wow.
and apparently, not sure if it was the first owner or next one. He was present when they were opening up Tutankhamun's
Ooh.
what was it? Crypt, not crypt.
Tomb, I
Tomb.
guess.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
that's the word. Tales from the crypt.
uh,
So they were opening up, and supposedly there was this curse on it. And but in fact, like most of the people who opened up within 2 years, they were dead.
it was really, that is
But
really, it's
but the guy,
scary.
yeah, but the guy that was obeying this ring, he didn't die, and he
Oh,
he said there was it was because of this ring. Hard to tell
yeah.
whether it's true or not, but cool story.
Hey, I mean, it seemed to work for that guy. He didn't die. Right? I mean,
Good on him.
are you gonna get Reiki? Are you gonna do Reiki certification or get whatever they call it attuned?
Um, haven't been thinking of it. Not necessarily Reiki. I used to do some Qigong, still do a bit,
Hmm.
and I've been told by my medium as well that I should look into it more. And apparently, I've got healing hands,
Mm.
so she gave me some guidance on that. Um, Maybe I just got so much going on. It's insane.
Yeah, for sure. You're you're coming here. You're doing a podcast. You got your company. You got a lot going on. So
My
for sure,
music as well.
you
Yeah.
got
So
you you have. I see your guitar in the background. Plus, your name is already Elvis, so you already have that music connection. So
yeah,
busy guy,
totally.
writing books. You have a lot.
The last year I started writing actually a second one, which
Oh,
is going to be
nice.
different from the previous one. It's going to be a bunch of shorter stories.
Oh, awesome, awesome.
Yeah, but it's just there's so much going on. So I do want to get put myself in such a position where I have enough time to do that as well. So that's the goal.
I understand. I understand. Just gotta
Yeah, got some good ideas for it. So stay tuned.
stay tuned. Oh, I'm excited to see. You got a lot coming, a lot going on, so I understand. I just kind of wanted to know because it seems to come up a lot for you, the energy healing.
Yeah, it is. I guess that's one of the things that the universe is kind of pushing me towards. So we'll see.
We'll see.
Yeah,
There's a lot of stuff to do, a lot of stuff to do,
yeah,
and a lot of stuff to see.
that's true. Right. Why filmmaking? What do you like about it so much?
I think I like that it's this craft that allows you to create a fictional reality that people can learn from, can experience. I think I've always loved the art of storytelling and just world building and world creation, which I think also kind of ties into this. We have all these different realities or realms that are on top of each other, and it's interesting that humans are able to create these whole fictional worlds, even like, when you write a book, it's creating this whole fictional existence and world with characters that are, alive. Even like, as we talked about the dream world earlier, it's like creating this real thing. So I think that's what I kind of love about filmmaking. And that's kind of why I'm just like, I'm going to dive into trying to do like a little, film review, discussion, podcast. Um, because like you, I have a lot of creative projects like in my pocket that I'm like trying to get out there.
We need to make them all happen.
Yeah,
It's worth it.
it is, right? It is. Like I've spent so much time in the past 6 7 years just like hyper focused on my podcast and doing that I creatively I wasn't venturing out and doing other things that I wanted
Mhm.
to do.
Yeah, that's what happened to me as well. Like since at least 2012, if not even earlier, up until well, when I started writing my book, and to some extent even later on, I was so focused on personal training and
Mm.
everything to do with training. Like I got my certification in the UK, and yeah, I did like 2,000 pull-ups and 6.5 hours and stuff like that for charity, And so I was so focused on it that the creative stuff it just went to the side, and
Yeah,
that's why I started writing the book in 2018 to have
no,
some
that's
kind of
good.
outlet.
Yeah, no, you're kind of probably like me, and that's such like a hyper focus that nothing like it. And I'm like so scared that I'm going to do that again as I kind of bring my show back. And I'm like, no, don't do it. Don't be hyper focused. Spread it around because there's a lot to do.
Yeah, that's true. Now, why do most movies these days, like the mainstream from Hollywood, why do they suck so much?
Because Hollywood is creatively bankrupt, right?
Yeah.
Because the problem with Hollywood and filmmaking is it's a business at the end of the day, right? And the studios have to
Mm.
make money. So they just look at these things in dollars and cents. They look at, oh, well, this, like, for example, right, the whole comic book movie, superhero movie has taken off since, like, the whole, Marvel thing took off. So once that took off, then, the DC took off, then everybody's making superhero movies. And we're just they're just taking properties now that already exist, right? They're not making anything new. Like, new things are very rare, like very rare now because the studios don't want to put a lot of money into properties that people are not they don't know already, right? Like we got the Barbie movie. People already know Barbie, right? So it's easy, boom, Barbie. They don't have to introduce people to this property or this story, right? Or like there was a movie. the hell was it from? There was it from Finland? There was a movie called Sisu that came out, right? And it was just like a pure action movie, right? But it's not based on a property that anybody knows, so it kind of went under the radar. But it was a fun action movie, hour and a half, very fast, moved through very good, and but nobody saw it. Like I've been trying to talk about it on my
Hmm.
show and kind of saying, "Hey, watch it, guys, if you're into action." But these things don't make a lot of money if people don't know, like the general audience doesn't know about them. That's kind of the sad thing that's happened with the Marvelification, the Disneyfication of movies right now. But but I think with the strike and everything, it's going to cause people to be more creative. I think independent films are going to take off a little more because the mainstream Hollywood can't do anything right now.
I
And
hope so.
hopefully the AI doesn't take over with all the creative stuff, but hopefully like independent stuff starts to rise more.
Yeah. Well, with the eye stuff, I think that there's gonna be some of that stuff around definitely in every area. But I think that people are still gonna value actual art made by actual humans, and
Yes.
it's gonna be like valued higher up than something made by AI.
Yeah. Because the problem, like people are like, oh, AI is evil, but I mean,
No.
what I see more is like creatively I see there's a lot of AI art, there's AI writing now, and I think you're right. I think it'll become where the human created is more valuable at the end of the day, because anybody can write a sentence and have whatever one of those AI programs shit out, excuse me, poop out some sort of art, right?
Yeah. It's gonna be like a unique selling point that it's made by an actual human.
I know, can you believe that? That's probably where we're going. I mean, it's nuts. It's nuts to kind of see, and because we're alive and we're here as this new technology kind of is getting, and as creative people to watch it kind of get folded into what creativity is in the future.
Yeah. And speaking of independent movies, like even just recently we saw with Sound of Freedom. I haven't seen
Hmm.
it yet. It was
I have
also
not
like a
seen it.
yeah,
I'm just like I can't go watch something that's gonna make me feel really bad. Like I know what it's about and I know it's good, but I'm like I don't think I can watch it.
yeah. I heard that it's not that bad. It's not graphic or anything.
Okay, okay,
Like
that I
yeah,
didn't know.
they don't show like
Okay.
stuff that's going on. Like that would be horrible, and you can't really show it either way. Like you know, it wouldn't be legal.
Right.
But
But
yeah, just
no,
the success of it shows that people want something that has a good message and it's original.
yes, yes, because like I look around, 'cause, I look around and I see it playing all over the place. I saw that even like with the production company that people have donated so that people can go watch it for free, even, and I thought that was pretty revolutionary, right? Because of the message of the film. Because we talk a lot about in the UFO community or whatever that people like, oh, they don't care that UFOs are real. But I mean, I think in a more kind of more something that's a little more urgent is the fact that these things is really happening to people right now, and to raise awareness. And I noticed at the beginning of the show you do donations and you raise awareness for this cause. It's kind of important because it's going on right now everywhere and people don't know and they're blind to it, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And the sad part is actually that this is a topic that should be a no-brainer. Everyone should get on board with it. But like,
Agreed.
but the sad thing is like the media are just going against it. They label it conspiracy theory. It's like I haven't seen the movie myself, but I've seen people talk about who actually seen it, and they were like, this media try to label it as conspiracy theory. And, like,
Hmm.
there's no conspiracy about this stuff. It's actually happening. Like
It's
you can go to
actually
people, go listen to people who actually went to rescue kids, what they got to say, and it's just happening. There's no way around it. And they say that it's like a Christian movie, and there's like God only mentioned like twice in it. And there's this line that the main guy says that the children of God are no longer for sale, It's like
Yeah.
that doesn't make it a Christian or anything.
No. No. It's the problem with mainstream media is that they're all owned by conglomerates and they only
Mm,
put out what they want to put out, and that's the unfortunate part of it, and that's why podcasts like you, like me, and many others out there is that we have no big company behind us. We're, self-financed. We can talk about what we want to talk about. And when you see a bunch of podcasters talking about these things, people should sit and think like, "Oh, well, maybe this is something that is important
yeah,
because this is something mainstream media won't touch with a 10-foot pole because they're owned by, big rich people."
yeah. But unfortunately, some people do fall for it. Just recently, there was a post that I don't really usually comment on stuff.
Mhm.
I get into fights and stuff like that. It's
Yeah.
just like, but I did comment on it because I was like, yeah, it doesn't matter. But I commented something that maybe you should look into all these kids that crossed the border, the southern border in the States, and just disappeared somewhere in the States. There was like tens of thousands just in the last 2 years or so. And the first comment was like, "Oh my God, QAnon much."
It's there because if there is a they, and then say it's like a three-letter agency that wants to discredit everything, right? Because everything connected to, but everything that even QAnon had spoken about, and this is children disappearing, children being trafficked, right? And by throwing that label out there, all of a sudden it's wacky, right? It's wacky, but
Yeah,
it's not wacky. And the thing is, it's real, and it's unfortunate that that people get attacked online for talking about these things. That's why, like you, I don't speak much up about anything because I don't want to fight with people. But
yeah,
the label is very unfortunate, and it could be a bot. It could be a three-letter agency bot fighting with you.
yeah. I think this was an actual person 'cause she responded
Okay.
later, and it ended up being a big argument, not me. Just like you just got guys go donate to Project Child Save. I don't think anyone did, but they just end up arguing, even though like everyone was on board with it. Like it's crazy.
it's it's nuts.
Yeah, there was actually it's kind of sad, but it was pretty funny. This post, do you know Babylon B?
Yes, Babylon B.
Yeah,
Yes.
satire, and
Yes.
it's better than actual news. Let's face it. And they made a post, I saw it on Instagram. It said that I don't know whether it was like CNN or some kind of a reporter goes to a traffic kid and tells them some bunch of kids and tells them they are a QAnon conspiracy.
Oh no. Oh, horrible,
Yeah,
horrible, uh,
but kind of true.
but true. It's
Yeah,
horrible. I
it
don't
is.
know, man. It's the internet makes things easier, but it also makes it so much harder, right?
Yeah, but yeah, movies.
Yeah, movies. But movies can be fun, and
Yeah,
movies can be not so fun, right? But I think it gives us a window into a different reality or a different world, real or not, right? And allows us to go outside of ourselves for a moment and experience these different
yeah.
things.
Especially good movies that make you also
Especially,
think about stuff.
oh
And that
yeah,
what we mentioned earlier, like when you get to experience like a different world that someone just constructed in such a way. That was a big part of me writing the book because I saw everything happen like it was a movie and I just described it in a way.
mm,
It was weird because like when I had an idea of what's going to happen next, so it just kind of like
interesting.
unfolded. I couldn't like move away from it somehow. So I don't know, and I just saw it like kind of like a movie, the entire story. And so I just tried to describe what I saw. I had an idea of what the storyline is I was writing. It just became, I saw more details. But what I was saying, like, yeah, good movies, they make you think about stuff and you lose yourself in that. Like
Exact. Yeah.
when I
No,
was,
exactly.
Like when I was watching 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Yes,
It's my favorite movie.
it's such a good movie.
Yeah.
Such a good movie. I think I've talked about it more than once because I've done a movie show before where we kind of try to tie it into kind of the UFO world, called the Weird Hollywood podcast, but it since is dissolved. But we did a bunch of sci-fi movies. You know, we did 2001. We did a bunch of like alien movies. We did Close Encounter of the Third
Mm.
Kind. You know, we did all kinds of stuff like that. It was a lot of fun. So that kind of hopefully, I wonder if that'll come back, but I don't know.
Yeah. Well, 2001 definitely ties in very well to what we are talking about today.
Oh, especially
We
with all the
got
AI stuff. Yeah.
Alien. Yeah, now AI, it didn't even occur to me that part. But also the ending, where it's so, like, Kubrick definitely must have tripped.
Yeah, it's
I
such
mean,
a
it's so
weird,
psychedelic, the ending.
so just so weird the ending, right? Oh man, it is such a trip, man. I gotta watch it again. It's been a long time.
Oh, yeah. I watched it when I was in the States. Yeah, 2001. And
Yeah,
2010 is also pretty good. Have you seen the
I
sequel?
I have not seen the sequel. I should probably watch it.
Yeah, it's 2001. It's an absolute masterpiece. I mean,
Yes,
it's unique, and the fact that you got like what 25 minutes of dialogue in a 2.5 hour
I know,
movie,
right?
that's amazing. And at the end, it's like no spoken word at the end with the last section. But 2010, it's a really good movie. You got more
Okay, okay.
dialogue, more characters, and Rob Scheider, what was his name? The guy from Jaws.
Oh, Rob Schneider, yeah,
Hold on.
right.
Rob Schneider is also this
Oh,
other actor.
hold on. Jaws, Jaws. Now I'm thinking. Wait. It is. Hold on. Roy Schneider. Roy Schneider? Is it Roy Schneider? Rob Schneider is the comedian, right?
Yeah, that's the other
Rob
one.
Schneider's comedian.
Yeah. Cool guy, actually.
Roy Schneider. Oh, that's funny.
Yes, so he plays, what was his name? Haywood Floyd in the
I
second
need to
movie.
watch it.
And
2010.
the year we make contact.
Yeah, 2 hours. Yeah, I gotta check that out. I haven't seen it. But we don't make movies like that anymore, really. I mean, right now,
Well,
Hollywood is.
Interstellar was like very close to
Interstellar
that.
is probably the closest
Yeah,
that was kind of like that. I liked Interstellar too.
me too. Yeah, I saw it in the cinema back in
Yeah,
2014. I was like, man,
there's some movies that you just have to see in the theater, and I think that is like one of them for sure.
it was a really good experience. And you can tell that he also drew a lot from 2001.
Yes, I love the robot in that. I thought that was really
Yeah,
creative.
yeah,
I'm like
it's
looking at
interesting
it.
design.
Interstellar, 2014. Man, yeah, it was. Yeah, it is Nolan. Yeah, and I
Yeah,
love Nolan's movies. You know, I even like Inception, right? Because we were talking about the dream
mm,
world and the dream state,
yeah,
and how he kind of came up with the Inception because he had been lucid dreaming a lot when he was in college, which kind of
really.
inspired him to make that movie. Yeah, because he said what he did was when he was in college, they'd have breakfast at 7, right? So he'd get up early, go eat breakfast, and then go back to sleep, and then he would have all these lucid dreams,
I didn't know
and that helped.
this.
Yeah, so it's very
Huh.
so it kind of inspired him to write this movie Inception.
Hmm. Yeah, again, like these kinds of experiences and psychedelics, they just inspire so much art. It's
So
crazy.
much art. So
Yeah.
much art. Yeah. Now I gotta get your book. I gotta check it out. I'm looking forward to checking it out.
Thank you. Hope you're gonna like it.
I hope so.
There's also a weird thing that I'm gonna tell you afterwards about this book.
Okay.
So let's finish off.
Okay.
We already had almost two and a
I'm
half
sure
hours,
I
but
know, and it's like what is it, 9 at plus hours for you? So
almost
9.
midnight.
Oh goodness. Okay.
No, it's
Let's
fine.
wrap.
I guess because of my previous job, I used to work all three shifts, sometimes 12 hours,
Oh, so
lots
you
of
stay
days
up
off.
late.
But so my schedule is so messed up.
So
Most of the
weird, yeah.
time, even on my days off, I was actually living more like by your time zone.
Oh, really? So you're
Yeah,
kind of used to this time zone.
yeah.
Hold on
So
here.
yeah,
All right. So, you want to wrap it up?
yes. Two questions
Okay.
before you. Well, three.
Sure.
If there was one piece of advice you could give to people, what would it be?
I guess my piece of advice, especially for with everything I've gone through in the past year or so, is that don't put things off. And if you want to go try something or do something new, whether that be, get healthy, try a new hobby, try a new career, go somewhere, I'd say just do it because honestly, life is short and we do not know how long we have. So just do it, give it a shot. And if you fail, that's okay. At least you tried. It's part of the journey, I'd say, more than the destination.
Yeah, good advice. I double on that. That's what I'm doing as well. My second one, and that could be a whole podcast on its own. But what do you think is the meaning of life?
I think the meaning of life is really the journey that we go on and the people that we meet, and really just spending time with your loved ones and, friends, family, and the experiences, really. Because at the end of the day, when we die, it doesn't matter what you own. It doesn't matter, what matters is the impact I think you've made on other people. I think that's what really matters. Just kind of be a good person and enjoy life. And that's the meaning of it, I think, and helping others improve their journey if you can.
Yeah, that's for sure. And where can people find you?
You can find me. So I guess the easiest thing to do for me is to go to jessrogi.info because that has all my links. That goes straight to my link tree. It has links to the Rogi Report podcast, link to my YouTube channel, my website, and everything connected with me. So jessrogi, ROGGE.info.
Great. Well, this was a really good episode, and also like catching up with everything after such a
Yeah.
long time. So thank you very much for coming.
Thank you for having me. Wonderful time. Wonderful chat.
Yeah, likewise. And thank you very much for tuning in. As always, give it a like, share, subscribe. That's for sure. And we'll see you in the next one.